Hey knowledgeables, welcome to today's session. So today I would be talking about the estimation or approximation, and also I will be talking about the estimation by rounding off technique. So these two topics I will be taking in this session. So what is estimation or approximation? So estimation or approximation is about guessing a quantity which is closer to the exact quantity. So let's see some example of estimation or approximation. So if somebody is telling that approximately 50,000 people came to the stadium, so surely the number of people could be lesser or more than 50,000. In the same way, if somebody is telling nearly 1,000 people are there in the temple premises, but this could not be exact number. This could be, nearer to what number of people are existing in the temple premises. In the same way, if you see another example, Indian population is about 1.5 billion, right? So these are the example of estimation or approximation. So let's see, some of the example, right? Real life example, why the estimation is being used. So this is the case study, right, where the Jeff has called 1,000 people for a party. He needs to order food for them. However, from his previous experience, he knows that some people will not turn up. So he estimated that approx 800 people will come and order the food for the same. So what he did by doing this, actually he saved some money. So this is the real life example. In the same way, the another example could be, right, where a hospital has to plan for medicine stock at the start of the month. So the CMO, which is the Chief Medical Officer, feels that every month approximately 1,000 people visits hospital, and he planned the medicine stock accordingly, right? So this is another case of the estimation. So one of the estimation technique is used, basically, that is rounding off technique. So depending on the different situation, we round off the quantity to nearest tens or hundreds or thousands to estimate something, right? So that we'll see with some example in the later slides. So let's see one of the example of estimation by rounding off technique. So we will take the previous example where the Jeffs had called 1,000 people in the party, and by his calculation on the number of people, he came to know that okay, 758 people will come, but he ordered for 800. So he did some approximation, and why he has not given order for 760 or 780, because he wanted to also accommodate some of the fluctuations where more number of people can come, and he wanted that no guest should go without food, and that's why he has approximated to 800. And here basically he is approximating to the nearest 100. So we will see what that mean in the next few slides. So let's take another example where a food company wants to purchase truck. So truck needed as per their calculation is 78, but they have ordered, for quantity 80 to accommodate any of the fluctuation in demand. But why they have not ordered the 100? Because again, the trucks are very costly, so they can't order a lot number of trucks. So here the approximation is being done to the nearest 10. We will try to see how this rounding up to the nearest 10, nearest 100 or nearest 1,000 is done through some example. Okay. So let's try to understand this rounding off to the nearest 10 with some example. So this is about finding the nearest multiple of 10 to a given number. Let's take the example of 22. So the multiple of 10 which is just below this 22 is 20. The multiple of 10 which is just above this 22 is 30. Then we'll try to see which one is nearer to the 22, that is 20. So 22 will be rounded off to 20. So this is the answer. Let's take the case of 4, right? The multiple of 10 which is just above 4 is 10. The multiple of 10 which is just below 4 is 0. Since 4 is nearer to 0, so it will be rounded off to 0. So answer is 0. If you take the case of 11,567, so the multiple of 10 which is just above this number is basically 11,570. The number which is number the multiple of 10 which is just below this number is 11,560. If you see this number is nearer to this number, so it will be rounded up to 11,570. So in the similar way, we will try to understand the rounding off to the nearest 100. So this is about finding the nearest multiple of 100 to a given number. So we'll do the same exercise as we had done for the other case where we were trying to find the nearest multiple of 10. So here we'll try to find the nearest multiple of 100. So if you see what is the nearest multiple of 100, which is just above the 22, that is 100. The multiple of 100 which is just below 22 is 0. And if you see 22 is nearer to 0, so it will be rounded off to 0. Same applies to 4 also. The multiple of 100 which is just above 4 is 100. And the multiple of 100 which is just below 4 is 0. And 4 is nearer to 0, so it will be rounded off to the 0. If you take the case of 11,567, right? So the multiple of 100 which is just above the this number is basically 11,600, and the multiple of 100 which is just below this number is basically 11,500, and the 567 is near to the 600, so it will be rounded off to 11,600. So answer is 11,600. Let's try to understand this rounding off to the nearest thousand with some example. So again, if you see 22, the multiple of 1000 which is just above this 22 is basically 1000. The multiple of 1000 which is just below 22 is 0, and 22 is nearer to 0, so it will be rounded off to 0. If you talk about 4, so the multiple of 1000 which is just above 4 is 1000, and the multiple of 1000 which is just below 4 is 0, and since 4 is nearer to 0, so it will be rounded off to 0. If you talk about 11,567, the multiple of 1000 which is just above this number is 12,000, and the multiple of 1000 which is just below this number is basically 11,000. And if you see this number is nearer to this number, so this will be rounded off to 12,000. Let's try to do some question for our better understanding. So the question is basically you need to round off this 78,239 to the nearest 10, nearest 100, and nearest 1000. So take a pause on the video and try to solve by yourself. Okay, so answer to this is basically given here in this sheet. So you can match your answer with this sheet. So let's see one tricky question where we are trying to round off the following number to the nearest 50. So we always talk about the rounding up to the nearest 10, 100 and thousands. But when I am talking to nearest 50, so how it needs to be done, right? So again, the logic will not change. We have to do the similar way, right? So here it needs to be done. So original number is 78239. So find the multiple of 50 which is just above this number, that is 78,250. The multiple of 50 which is just below this number is basically 78,200. So if you see this number 78,239 is near to this number, so it will be rounded off to 78,250. So let's check the answer. Yeah, so answer is basically 78,250. So this is what I wanted to cover in this session. So we will meet in another session with some another topic. Thank you.